So we're here, April 4th, 2024, 181 days of the Iron Swords War. Unbelievable. I think none of us believe that after 6 months, we will still have 134 hostages being held in Gaza. We'll still have soldiers that are dying. We still have fighting going on in 3 and 4 fronts in Israel. Before we start, I want to go over the events that we have, so we will have it in mind about Israel and about those and about the war. So I mentioned before the April 7th happening on Sunday. One more thing that we're trying to do on Sunday, we're trying as the delegation to think how we can make sure that the hostages will stay on the agenda and will not forget about them. So we try to do something called Taste of Home, which is we will publish in all of the social media. We'll give you a chance to choose one of the hostages and cook at home, his personal beloved cuisine that they love the most. And afterward, you will take pictures and hashtag it and send it to us. And again, another way of just remembering that they're with us. So Taste of Home, look it up. On May 13th, almost a month from now, we're having the event of Israel Memorial Day. Going to happen 7 p.m. the Midway Jewish Center in Plainview. And in June 9th, we're going to have the Israel Fest. We're going to talk more about as we come closer, but again, another opportunity to celebrate Israel, which I honestly believe that this year, probably the most important than ever. And a lot of people, just like Daniel, were fighting in order, so we will have the opportunity to celebrate Israel this year as well. So just put it in mind. We have 134 hostages. We know that 36 of them are not longer with us, which is very unfortunate. Still more than 100,000 Israelis being displaced. We talked about the north last week, but it's all over Israel. The number of civilians and soldiers that died since the beginning of the war is 1,488. Additional 4 in the past week. The less of them is Lidor Levy, who just today died of his wounds from the terror attack that happened 4 days ago in Israel, in Gan Yavne. Leo was 34, left behind him a wife and a 6-month-old baby, which is only wrong, was going to a shopping center in Israel on Friday morning. So Leo is the last one. And unfortunately, the IDF reached to the unbelievable number of 600 soldiers that died since October 7th. Regardless to say that is the highest number of the IDF in a very long time of soldiers died in a war. Almost half of them died on October 7th, and the other half since then in the multiple fronts we're facing. Going over the fronts, today we're going to start with Lebanon, which is the most interesting, or with the northern front, which is not only my home, but is also the most interesting thing that happened, is the elimination of Hassan Madawi, the commander of the Quds forces of Iran in Damascus, in Syria and in Lebanon. Very well operation conducted in Damascus and pretty much showed that Iran is everywhere. Which foreigners say that it's been done by Israel. Israel did not take responsibility, but it's a very major hit. We know that Massawi it's the most important Iranian on the Middle East, and Qasem Soleimani was eliminated by the United States in January 2020. And I must say that in Israeli, consider the Iranians are threatening that they will have to retaliate. I must say that as an Israeli, first of all, I'm very proud that we will have the ability to conduct this operation. And second, I think we stop being afraid. I think the worst is behind us, and the worst had happened. And you cannot intimidate us anymore by saying we will do this and that. And I think that now it's Israel time, and that you have time to show that don't mess with us. And if you come to the Middle East and trying to operate close to us, we will target you wherever you'll be. And even though they're threatening to retaliate, I think it's part of the thing we must do. So I'm very proud of it. And basically, Israel is saying that there will be a price that you will pay if you continue to do the things you do. It's very clear that Iran will have to retaliate in any way. They have 3 main options. The first is against Jews all over, but I believe that they won't do it because it's meaning they will be complicated with a third party, with a third state. They can target Israel from Iran, but we have such a good weapons to protect us that it's unlikely. And they can use the proxies. But again, I'm not sure that Hezbollah will want to go to a whole war with Israel because of that. So the estimation in Israel that there will be retaliation. The IDF is in full prepare for that, but estimation is that it won't cause to things to escalate and be worse than it is now. So again, I think it's a major hit, and I'm sure we read all over and all about it. Other than that, the North, it's complicated as it was, stuck as it was, just like we mentioned last week. And hopefully, once we send you all the recordings, you could see Liat and you will remember the complicated in the North. We'll go to Gaza. Few things. First of all, the special operation in Shifa Hospital was over this week. Very, very successful operation. The IDF, according to the things they say, eliminate more than 200 terrorists and got a lot of intelligence. And just so, again, what we can do once we're there. Two complicated events happen in Gaza this week. The first is the falling of two Israeli soldiers, two IDF soldiers in Gaza, while they were in a relatively safe place and protecting themselves, and just terrorists came from a tunnel, shot an RPG, and the building collapsed on them. It's just coming to show us that once you're not moving forward and you stay, you will have casualties. Bring up again what's next in Gaza, what will be the day after, what will be with Rafah, and reminding all of us as Israelis the time we spend in Lebanon, that again, there's never a safe place when you're fighting guerrilla forces, and those soldiers were sleeping. But this is war, and this is what it is. But again, remind us that we need to move forward, and if not, they will come for us. The second was the accidentally shooting on the WCK, the World Central Kitchen employees by the IDF, killing 7 of them. According to everything I read, this is a very friendly organization. Worked with Israelis after October 7 and with Palestinians, helping with the supplies. It's a very unfortunate incident. I will say 2 things. First of all, it can happen in war. But second, the IDF immediately took responsibility and said that they will investigate. And for me, as a reservist and as an Israeli, I'm proud to be part of this organization that not to admit we made mistakes, and in war, mistakes leading to casualties. But I'm proud to be one of an organization that the head of the IDF took responsibility immediately, investigate, and admit to the rest of the world with full transparency that this is on us and that we need to do better, and that we will learn for the next time. And you can see that as the war is moving on, the IDF, the soldiers are learning all the time. I will say internally, Israeli, when we talk about the hostages and the war in Gaza, there's a very big dispute, like I believe it is here, about what's next and what the price that we should pay for bringing hostages back home. And it's escalated by the day, and it looks like the hostage family forum had enough, and they're trying every way they can to say, we don't care about the price, bring our family back. I'm sure that's not all up to us, but just so you have a glimpse of what's happening in Israel, and all sides, I believe, are valid, and it's a hard discussion. And let's say I'm happy I'm not in the position of making those very, very hard decisions. We go for the West Bank, and just before I'll give over the mic to Daniel, that will give us firsthand testimony about what's happening in the West Bank. I will just say that looking the West Bank and Israel, it looks like there is a escalating of the situation with the Israeli Arabs, which I told you in the past, one of the most complicated things that we have in Israel, because at the end of the day, we're living together. So just to give you an example, security forces just arrested a squad of 11 terrorists living in Israel, the majority of them in Rat, a Bedouin city, that wanted to kill the internal minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and abducted Israelis. They arrested a squad that recognized with ISIS in East Jerusalem, that want to put a bomb in the Teddy Stadium, like the biggest stadium in Jerusalem. And the attack that Lidor Levy was killed in, that conducted 4 days ago, was executed by the Israeli army. Again, so in Israel, everything is complicated. The majority of the Arab Israelis are with us and not participating in this war, which is amazing, in my eyes at least. But again, it is complex. And one of the reasons that those attacks were being able to stop when they were, it's because of people like Daniel that worked, as I told, night after night to bring intelligence, stop the people and arrest the people at the West Bank in order to prevent them not to commit those attacks that we're planning. So it's my opportunity to thank Daniel for everything he's done. And now I'm going to give over the ball or the microphone to you. And thank you for being here with us. Daniel? You're on mute.
Shalom, how are you feeling, guys?
Hi, good morning.
So good morning. I'm in New York, Manhattan. Right over there, you see the view from the Manhattan buildings were enormous. I came just yesterday, a different world. I came from half a year of being in the reserves. I just last Thursday I was finished in the reserves on the West Bank in the area of Ariel, Kalkilia, and Jenin, that like triangle area. I have 600 soldiers under my command, and it was a very, very special, crazy time for me in my life. So I just came over here just for a vacation, family vacation, to give a couple of talks to all kind of places, and probably going to be back also in the reserves, maybe after Pesach, after the holidays, going to the north. So as 350,000 reservists in the 7th of October, I was called up in that day, and it was a very special and crazy time, trauma for Israel, big trauma that everyone felt part and very obligated to go and take arms and protect Israel on that day. So I was privileged to be called up also for my battalion. As I said, I'm in charge of 600 soldiers, and they're amazing guys, leaving their families, leaving their jobs, leaving their communities, and just going to protect Israel. And that was the reservists, which means you're part of a family, you're changing diapers, you're doing whatever you're doing in a family, then just in one other minute, you're going to the base, shooting with your gun, and going to missions. That was a big issue in 7th of October. Until last Thursday, I was in the reserves in the area of Jenin and Shechem, which means a center of Israel, the center of the Samaritan Mountains. There's about 22 communities, Jewish communities around my responsibility, and a lot of highways too of the Jewish communities, and also, of course, route number 6, which is a very, very, very famous, important route going from south and north of Israel, which was also my responsibility. So when I go to reserves, I meet all the kinds of Israelis. I meet secular, religious, right, left, even some Hasidic guys that just left everything and came, and it was amazing bonding experience also. Actually, the real hero is not me, it's my wife, because she was staying at home with the kids. I have 3 kids that are home and one a soldier in the army. And her parents are evacuated. Her 2 sisters are evacuated from Kiryat Shmona in the north, so it wasn't easy for her. That's why she's the real hero. And being a commander in the area of Yehuda and Shomron, West Bank, is very different than what you hear in the news, than going into battle in Gaza or even in the north. Every area is very different of fighting in the country. I think the most complicated place in the world to have a battle or to fight is Gaza. Underground, up the stairs, and all kind of crazy buildings and booby traps. It's really, 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 really hard to fight over there, and of course, a lack of intelligence. Mostly in the beginning, now a little less. Now we have much more intelligence because of the people we arrested and we caught. But in the West Bank area, there's much, much more intelligence, and it's much more neat. I call it mesudar in Hebrew, because you have a lot of people who are working with us, Palestinians working with us. We have people, our guys, inside their villages. So our eyes and ears are all around. And we have a lot of people working very hard for this intelligence. And it's much easier for us as soldiers and commanders to do missions, and when we have eyes and ears all around. So the main job of my missions was mostly arrest of Hamas terrorists. That, by the way, the big question is why, what happened in Gaza, and around Gaza, all the Sderot and the kibbutzim and Be'eri and Nachalot and everything, didn't happen also in the center or in the north. Because of the reservists that were called up. Okay, if it's not like if just because the Hamas hate the Jews in Gaza area, so that's why they did what they did. Also in the West Bank, also in the as we speak right this moment, there's crazy brainwashing systems and crazy hatred to the Jews, and they will do everything they can to take us down and to do attacks and to kill Jews. But because of the reservists and because of the army, of the IDF, we're protecting and we're doing so much we can to not have this situation happen also in the center of Israel. Now, when I say center of Israel, it's not like shooting a missile or going to attack into Sderot or to kibbutz around Gaza envelope. It's the center of Israel, Tel Aviv, Kfar Saba, Netanya, Ra'anana, and of course Modi'in, also Jerusalem also. So it's really the security belt of really a lot of central and important places for Jews to survive and to live in the country. So if you have security in the center of Israel, so you're secured in the center of Israel. So of course you have the missiles coming from the north or from the south, but still it's a different situation. But so I'm saying about the education that they want us dead. When I go into a village at night, and almost every night, actually not almost every night, one or two villages or cities, we came in, we arrested bad guys, and not only arrest them, we also had to check their homes with ammunition and guns. We found lots of guns, lots of money. A soldier of mine, just a few nights before we finished our missions, found $500,000 in cash in a big, like a suitcase that was funding terrorism. That was the main goal of that money. Of course, we got intelligence for that was there. Of course, the money has to go to the police and everything. I told the guys, why not to our donations, to the unit, but, of course, to the police. It's terrorism money. So, and the situation of the education is that when you go to those homes, you see what they're teaching. You see what they are teaching the next generation. You see pictures on their pictures in their homes, living rooms, not of like a nice, beautiful waterfall or a picture of a rabbi or whatever, or a imam in the Muslim world. You see terrorists as pictures, as their heroes. I went to a home, you see like a list of about 25 faces. All those people kill Jews. And all those people, of course, get money or funding from Israel or from the US or from the United Nations in the jails. It's a big problem. Everyone knows the famous saying of Golda Meir that says, we're going to have peace when they love the children, when they hate us. It's not relevant anymore because we see what's going on in those communities, in the villages, in the West Bank, and of course also in Gaza. And we try to stop that. We talk to the Palestinian police sometimes. We talk to the mayors of the cities. We have some influence, but the education is the base. You change education for the next generation, not to kill the Jew, not to say nonsense and lies in their education books. I can send you pictures if you want later on of villages we came in. I saw you books of education of what they teach in the books of history in the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. It's crazy. You would never believe, of course, the big maps of the world, of Jerusalem, big maps of Israel, that there's no mention of Jews in Israel, actually Palestine. So that's the next generation in Yehuda and Sharon, West Bank. It's also a lot of Jerusalem's in the center all the time. Al-Aqsa is in the center. You see all kind of temples of golden domes of that situation. So that's about education. We have to change that. We have to, if we want to have peace with Palestinians, that's the number one deal to deal with. Also, another thing is that we got a big shock in that day of what's going on, especially in the West Bank, because when I have like all kind of soldiers from right, from left, everything. So, oh, the West Bank is these settlers, he's crazy. No, you see what amazing people we have of Am Yisrael. When we went to the first days of the reserves, 7th of October, the whole week, the first week, 8th and on, we were called up and we had no chefs, for example, to cook for our meals. We had to have like very crappy kind of food. So some women from the settlement or community around us, they came to our base, said, "You need chefs. You need someone to cook your food. We'll do it, and we'll bring 20 girls and boys of the youth of the community to wash the dishes and to clean up for you guys." That was amazing how Am Yisrael came together, and still coming together, in everything that has to do with this war. So yes, you're in the news crazy extremists from the left or extremists from the right, doesn't matter, but still the majority of Am Yisrael is together, and we see this all around. And of course you see it in the reserves. Another important thing is the connection between this trauma we had to the future. Now I'm having a nice vacation for me and my family because we really need this. And going to reality. And after I just heard Dagan speak about next week after Pesach, we have coming close to the Yom HaZikaron, the Memorial Day and the Independence Day. It's a big thing. Will be a very, very big thing this year in Israel. But the connection between Yom HaZikaron, the Memorial Day, and the Independence Day is critical, because I'm sure every member who got married over here in a Jewish wedding, remember you broke a cup. When you break a cup, you remember the most sad thing that happened in the history of Israel, the destruction of the Temple of Israel. But that's exactly the connection we have: the sadness and the amazing, the happiness, the Memorial Day and the Independence Day. Without the Memorial Day, which means soldiers dying for our country, we're not going to have independence. And that's a very important thing. This moment, as we speak, soldiers are called up again to the north, and also to my communities and to my responsibility in the West Bank. I just got a text this morning. Daniel, please beware. There could be so of course I'm not gonna go this coming week, because I'm doing this kind of shlichut in the West, but still we always are connected to go back to our responsibility and defend Israel and the safety of Israel.
Wow, Daniel, thank you. I have one, I think, main question. How was the spirit of the soldiers, serving for almost 6 months in day to day, taking risk every night? How did you do it?
So first of all, it's not easy. It's not easy to be in charge of 600 soldiers that everyone has his issues. He has a big important test in the university to be a doctor, or to be I don't know what, or a surgeon or whatever. And this guy has a baby. He has a baby. His wife's pregnant, and she's 9 months pregnant. And a lot of issues, also motivation issues. Which means after 4 months I've had it. I can't go. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. We have at least I think about 20 guys who are post-trauma, PTSD for sure. They've been shot at. They shot people. They've killed. It's not easy to go from a normal life of like I said before, changing diapers, or just getting have a good time in normal Israel and Jerusalem world, and going to be a fighter and to really defend Israel in a very extreme way. So we have motivation issues, we have problems, but still everyone is here. I had 150% of motivation to come into the reserves, which means usually you have to fight to get the guys, the reserves, to come to 30 days a year or whatever. This time we had 150% of people who wanted to come that are not even a part of the unit anymore. They left the unit a few years ago, but they want to join because of the war. So they feel obligated, they feel a connection, they feel it's very it's a big mission over here to defend Israel, because everything stopped over here. It's not only the reservists who left their homes. Like you said before, it's 100,000 people who left their homes. They were kicked out of their homes because of the north or the south or whatever. People who are victims of terrorism, and people who are the family members were killed or murdered, whatever. All of Am Yisrael is together in this war, and also people over here in New York.
are giving. We had so many people calling me up and say, Daniel, how could we help? How could I, you miss a drone, you have this, how could we help save lives? Or, the bulletproof vest and everything. It's a very important family experience that we're dealing here. People from abroad or people from inside Israel are giving and helping and being a place where, now it says in that last sentence, I'll say this, and this is good. It's I think what the soldiers feel, and also the Jewish people here in New York area and Long Island, is that it says in a Mishnah, Pirkei Avot, b'makom she'eni she'yesh, in a place that there's no person, be a person, and that's what people felt. Hineni, I'm here. Do whatever I have to do. I'll be a chef in the kitchen, or wash dishes for you guys, or I'll kill a terrorist, or I'll send some money for a drone or for whatever you need to save your troops.
Well, it gave me goosebumps. It reminded me Golda's sentence about the fact that we have no other place to go, and I think this is what happened when you fight for your home. And you literally fight to protect your family and friends and country. Daniel, thank you. It's important to me to do 2 or 3 clarifications. First of all, just so you understand, Daniel, with everything happened, think about the responsibility that was on his shoulders. Responsible for more than 600 soldiers to bring them back home safe and well, and to get the job.
Say about that, one of my soldiers did not come home. He was killed in battle. I have 3 guys in hospital. And we have people going back home that are not as they came, which means we have to take care of them. And it's a big responsibility, which means we adopted the wife of Elchanan, our soldier who was killed, just had a baby. Right?
Oh.
Understand that, guys? He had a baby. She had a baby when her husband is not here anymore. It's a crazy situation. So we're helping and we're being there. It's really a family experience, and everyone, like when it's hard or trauma, everyone of course comes more together, and that we felt now in the situation. Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Reserve is a family, and it's never over. And being part of a reserve battalion is part of your family. And just as Daniel said, his work is not done. It will continue. And Daniel, even in his decision to become battalion commander, we're talking about more than 100 days, to the slightest 100 days a year of reserve. So again, I can only show you appreciation and thanks for everything you do for Israel and for your soldiers. And I will say 2 things about the West Bank. First of all, the reserves are doing a mission that they will never have, we didn't do before. Usually, arresting Hamas terrorists and the high-level terrorists was conducted by regular troops, special units, and not by, no offense, 45-year-old reservists. But now everything is changed, and those soldiers was at home on October 7th. We have to conduct very dangerous and special operations, and as you can see, did in the best way it can be.
And by the way, Dagan, all the soldiers in the West Bank now are reservists. So there's no regular soldiers, from their regular duty that are in the West Bank, also around Jerusalem, because they're all in the south and the north.
Yeah, that shows the reality that Israel is facing now in so many multiple fronts. And second thing is, again, remember that every time that we're sleeping at night, safe and sound, we have people that are working night after night, and I used to be among them when I was in the reserve. And third is our quest. I know that when you go to Israel, you usually hardly go to the West Bank. I urge you to go. It's very hard to understand the reality in the West Bank without being there and see the way that the Israelis living with the Palestinians, see the territories where there's no Israelis, how they look like. On media, it sounds much harder than it is. In the West Bank, the Palestinians have relatively a lot of freedom to do anything they want. Again, I urge you, go there with an Israeli, with a fellow member, someone that will be able to explain to you what it is, the West Bank, how close it is to Israel. And when Daniel say, if I'm stopping a terrorist, I'm stopping him to come into Ra'anana or Kfar Saba, you need to see with your own eyes that we're talking about one fence. Moving that's over this fence, you're in the center of Ra'anana and Kfar Saba.
So Dagan, in the presentation I am planned, is also explain a little bit the maps, because you have to see the maps in your eyes to see what's going on in the situation, how close everything's to each other.
Exactly.
I'll see you on Sunday.
And one last thing, as Daniel just said, Sunday we have the very big and important event marking the 6 months of the war, hoping that I will see all of you there. And right afterwards, at about 11 a.m., Daniel will share much more about his experience at the West Bank, pictures, map, politics, and all of the information that you know he has. So please come to the event at 10 a.m. and then stay for Daniel and his wife's lecture. Daniel, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully we have a nice and quiet weekend here in Long Island, and see you next week. Bye-bye.